welcome back to the My Generation podcast. Today we are going to be talking about the creation of a radio drama called Simple Minds. As you may know, I'm a big fan of creation of radio dramas, and I've got one I want to be talking about soon. May already have spoken about it. But recently I featured in a radio drama. I was an actor.
No way, which one?
Which one? It was called Simple Minds.
Oh my god, that sounds so good. Is it a band?
Yeah, is it? Yeah, apparently it wasn't stolen from the band, but
It wasn't.
and it was created by film, radio, and TV student Amelia-Lucy Gregory, better known as Mimi.
Hello. She sounds great.
Yeah, and she is with us right now.
Oh my god, is she?
Yeah.
Oh wait, it's Mimi.
Yeah, it's that voice that's in the intro.
Yeah, it's
and Mimi is also an active member of many university societies, but today I was speaking about the creative process of making said radio drama. So welcome to the show, Mimi.
Hello, good to be here. How are you doing?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm great. I'm very tired, but I'm great.
Very busy. Thus is the life of...
I'm having a very busy life.
Yeah, thus is the life in media and creative arts, really.
It's just the life of Mimi.
Yeah. And that'll be in its own full podcast episode.
Oh god, that's my own radio show, Tea with Mimi on CSR FM, 6 till 8 p.m. Tune in. Sorry.
Is that 6 till 8 every night?
Every Monday.
Every Monday. Okay, because this is 6 p.m. every Thursday. So
well, look at us.
Well, now your schedule is gradually building for audio content throughout the week.
Amazing. I love this for me.
Yeah. And so at the top link of the description will be to Mimi's show, Tea with Mimi.
We also have an Instagram page, Tea with Mimi, TEAWITHMIMI.
But for today, we're talking about the radio drama that we both
my radio drama
that you made, that I don't want to say starred in, we'll say air quotes, because I was just sort of a background character.
Yeah. Well, no. He's important, just not in that episode.
No.
Just not in that one.
So, could you explain to listeners maybe what was the radio drama?
So basically, long story short, as Max just said, I am a film, radio, and television student. However, I do specialise in radio. One of my big interests is TV dramas. I love like a good old teen drama, Riverdale, Gossip Girl. Hit me up, I love it. And something that I discovered while delving into the radio world was that there isn't a lot of teen drama radio episodes out there. There are a few podcasts which are created from YouTube and stuff like that, but there's nothing actually on, not mainstream necessarily, but there's nothing on big radio that's teen drama related.
Yeah.
CBBC used to do pre-teen shows. They used to do a podcast with the Tracy Beaker show years and years ago, but that's obviously stopped now, unfortunately, but that's probably the closest thing I could find. And then obviously you find the really intense dramas they do and everything. And when I actually visited the BBC in London for work experience, I asked them about it and they said there is a market for it, but they just haven't got around to doing it. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, if the market's not there, create the market.
Exactly, and that's what I did. Well, I've had this idea in this show for years. I've had these characters for years, and I will explain probably further into the creative process of my beautiful, lovely characters in a bit. But basically, it was just something I've always stuck to, and I've always wanted to create my own TV show, if you will. And because I'm so interested in radio, I just thought, why didn't I just put the two loves together and then eventually hate it after a few weeks? But no, I don't hate it. I did love it. It was really fun. I think that actually the thing I enjoyed the most was the editing, which sounds weird because you get sick of it after a while, but I really enjoyed it. So I was like, oh, I'm going to mash that up.
It's all coming together, isn't it?
I loved that. I actually cried. When I listened to the first run through, I cried because I was that emotional and that overwhelmed. It was a great
It gets
time.
like that with radio. I've produced radio plays before, and then when you're getting to the end of it and it's all finally coming together, that's beautiful. But if we bring it back to the very beginning, so the episode we recorded, was that a pilot?
So that was a pilot episode that we did. So basically I had to do it for my course and I wanted to do it anyway, and I just wanted to make a radio drama because no one else in my class was. So I was like, I'm going to be different. I'm not going to do a sports show or podcast or whatever. I'm going to make a radio drama. And the episode we did was a pilot for this radio drama. This episode that I've been planning in the works for years and years and years and years and years. And that's what I did. I just made a pilot of it. I have got more episodes. I just haven't managed to record them because I was only focusing on this one because it was obviously for my grade, for my course, which I got a first in.
Ooh,
banging.
Look at you.
Look at
you
me.
Go. Good stuff.
I know, I'm amazing. No, I'm joking. It's all thanks to my lovely cast members. I had Max obviously on there, and Edie, Connor, Colin Jenkins actually was on this show, so he was
yes.
also on it. That's how you met him. I feel like
yeah.
when I saw that he was on this show, I think it's twice now he's been on.
He's been on twice.
I literally have turned around like, this was because of me.
Yeah,
why aren't I getting thanks? Like,
because that's what this episode's for.
Yeah.
To thank you for introducing me to Connor.
Yeah, Connor's great, bless him.
And because of that, I met Edie, and Edie I featured on a short film for Edie where I met Eleanor, who I recorded the 10th episode of the podcast with about acting.
Can I just say this now though? Like, it's not who you know, it's what they know. That's like, you get connections everywhere and it's networking. And I feel like things like this are really good to bring people together, because like, not everybody I had on the show was this amazing actor. It was just someone who just wanted to get that experience and have some fun and try and enjoy it. Like, for example, we had Carmen on it, who played the character Chloe. She's never really done anything like that before, and she wanted to do it because she wanted to try something new and probably pop it on her CV and stuff like that. And obviously through that, she did some networking and met some people, and like, it's just something I wanted to give an opportunity to people that probably won't always get that opportunity, which is going back to my radio show, something I do on my radio show as well. I give people an opportunity they probably wouldn't get every single day.
Yeah, because they're getting a chance to speak out there, and then if someone likes what they're saying, they can get in touch. I
know a lot of people. There was someone on the show, Liam. He wouldn't mind me saying this, but he's a confident person in the sense that he can like sing and stuff like that. But acting isn't the one thing he's very confident with.
And Liam was in the radio drama.
Yes, he was. Liam, he played Josh. He stood in last minute. He was really nervous about it because the idea of acting for him is quite scary, but then something that's really good about radio drama is that you don't see the audience.
Yeah, I feel like as a way into acting, it's better because you're dealing with a smaller crew as well. Yeah. So even if it was like film or TV acting where you're not seeing an audience, you've still got a giant crew around you.
The good thing about radio, I feel, and also podcasting, you don't need a lot of people to work on it, so it's not too overwhelming. Like, at most, you'll probably need a producer, a writer, director, and
which you were all of.
I was all free, but no, but like in a general professional perspective of it, because obviously when I was in BBC, I spoke to them about it, and that's at most that will be in the booth with you, and maybe a sound engineer, but that's it. And that's always, I feel like, a good thing. So if you're interested in acting, but you're not very interested in the idea of going up on a stage in front of millions or thousands of people, that's fine, because there are other opportunities out there for actors to get their voice heard, and that's what I want to help and do.
It's a good way in.
It is a really good way in, yeah.
And that's probably what made it easier for me, because I'm not an actor.
No.
I'm definitely not an actor, and so coming onto your show, it was much easier because it was just you and a couple of people that we were with recording.
Yeah, and then obviously the people that were recording as well, they're all in the same boat, so it's understanding. But no, back about Simple Minds, so like, it was this whole creative process into this pilot episode that I had to create. And the issue with pilot episodes, there's so much pressure with them, because you've got to try, basically the best way to describe a pilot is a pitch.
Yeah.
It's basically your way of pitching your idea and your show to the market, if you will, which is the consumers, who people listen to it, and you've got to make it interesting and fun and basically engaging. And it was a lot of pressure to make that, and it's difficult making a pilot that's good, but assuming mine was okay.
Yeah, well, but it is pressure, because you have to. That is the only selling point. Like, if you can't capture them immediately, because that first scene is really important.
Yeah.
So, we can almost take that into the writing process. Yeah. So, what was it like writing this specific?
It was
story?
actually really easy, because I actually had already basically written it before, so I'll probably go more into detail in a bit about this, but Simple Minds is something I've been working on since about 2011. It's been a long, long way. It's evolved a lot. It has changed a lot. There are different versions of the show, and there's like all kinds of different things I've done. Like, I've done fantasy like kind of versions of it. I did more of a futuristic, like utopia kind of thing. Then I did a slice of life teen drama, and then I did this one, which was a bit more supernatural. So it's always been a bit of a mix of everything, and I always take, not influences necessarily, but I like to read books quite a lot, and I read a lot of books, and there's lots of books out there that haven't really got a lot of media coverage, in the sense they don't have films, they don't have TV shows, they don't have that, and I take kind of inspiration from those, and take kind of like, not ideas necessarily, but I look at these things and I'm like, I feel like this is a really good idea, this is really amazing, I feel like this needs to be incorporated more in media.
Yeah.
And that's what I kind of help with my creative process. And also music really helps as well.
Well, it's something interesting you mentioned about music. I remember this from when you were talking about your characters.
Yeah.
You had Spotify music playlists for every character.
So I didn't just have that, I had Pinterest mood boards as well. I do a lot.
Yeah, so what was that for, really? So that was just to help you get into the minds of every character?
Yeah, so when I create anything, and this is not just Simple Minds, this is anything I create, I like to try and put my shoes, I put like the character's shoes on, basically. I basically become that character. So Simple Minds basically stem. This is how, I guess I could talk about this now, how it was created. So Simple Minds is 8 different characters. So there's Vanessa, there's Sandy, Josh, Chloe, Mimi.
You put yourself in there.
I know I did. Scott, love Scott, Hunter, and Kat. Yeah, that's 8. And basically, they all started, but I wasn't very popular at school. I didn't have a lot of friends. And this isn't me trying to make friends. This was, that's a bit sad, no. But I didn't have a lot of friends. And I delved into my writing and my reading and everything. And that's kind of how I had time on my hands, really. That's how I got, did with my time. I created these things, and I struggled a lot as a kid with dealing with my own emotions and dealing with who I am as a person, because I've suffered very badly with mental health issues, and with that came very difficult to talk about with people because my school didn't offer very good mental health support. It didn't really offer anything, and I mainly used online to deal with it. And I met this girl online, and she did it before, but she basically explained to me the best way to deal with these issues that you're having with your mental health and everything else going on in your life. Create your personalities into characters, kind of thing. So create a character that's, if you're feeling really sad and nervous and anxious, create a character that embodies that. And that's where Vanessa came from. If you're feeling angry, if you're feeling frustrated or stuff like that, or aggressive, that's where Sandy came from, and so on and so forth. They all are basically stems of different emotions and different personalities that kind of help me deal with the fact I'm not alone in the sense of I have these mental health problems. And that really helped me for years and years and years. And I feel like without her, I wouldn't have been able to create these characters. And with obviously me creating these characters, I was like, amazing. I now understand my emotions, but what do I do with these characters now? So then it evolved into me making mood boards for these characters, and I designated a colour for each one, and then obviously a different mood. Like, for example, Josh is quite a grunge kind of music lover and everything, so I did like green for him, and like I do all like the music-y stuff on there. Hunter, he is, I like to say my Max played Hunter, but just so you know, his colour is blue, and it's like a very pale blue, because obviously like the rainbow sky and everything and like that, and that's where that kind of comes into it. And he's also symbolises intelligence as well. It's all kind of like stemmed from that. Kat was like my innocent kind of side, like her colour was like turquoise, so it's like an innocent, free loving kind of side.
So you put little bits of you into every single character sprinkled, and that's when also the music comes in, because you can apply those moods to those characters. Yeah,
so I listen to a song sometimes and I think, oh my god, this is a very Vanessa song, this is a very Sandy song, and like then created playlists as a result of it, and that's basically where it really stemmed from. And then because the name Simple Minds, it comes from a simple mind. Yeah, that's how that happened.
And would you listen to the songs of the characters whilst you're writing about them?
Yes, so that's how. So when I was doing the audition process, so basically I didn't actually expect it was going to get as well received as it did when I made the posts about me doing this radio show, this radio drama. I put a post on a couple Facebook groups for Canterbury universities and acting things and stuff like that, and I just thought, oh, no one will be interested in this, like there's literally going to get like 3 or 4 people. I ended up getting, I think, 30 people messaged me. Wow. And that's when it got to a point where I was like, right, I'm going to actually have to audition people.
Yeah, that's cool, though.
But I didn't expect that at all. I did not. And I probably should have, because obviously I should expect how the industry works and everything. But I just assumed, oh, we're in Canterbury, it's a small town.
Canterbury's a city. Small town.
But you know what I mean? Like, compared to where I'm from, it's a small town. But no, it's just, it's I just didn't expect anyone would be really that interested in it, if I'm honest. I just thought, if it was like a play, then I would have done proper auditions and everything. But since it was a radio drama, I didn't think I had to. And then I had like about 30 people message me in the end, and I'm thinking, God, I have to disappoint people. I'm not good at that. I'm not going to say no. But
it's not disappointing them, because you've got to make difficult choices.
Exactly.
It's very difficult.
And I had like I think you sent me. I basically asked people because I hadn't finished the script at that point. So what I did was I asked them to send me 20 seconds of them saying a piece of script of their choice, and then the next round of the audition process would be basically me then sending them a couple lines of what I think the character would say and how I would want them to say it, and then they send that to me, and it would usually once again be about 10 to 20 seconds long, and then I listened down and made my decision. And in the end, I think I really made a good decision. I mean, other than the Josh situation where the guy cancelled on me last minute and I literally had to scour my...
But that happens in any creative thing.
No, it does, and it was really annoying, and it taught me, though, it really did. It really helped me learn that you can't count on people all the time, and you've got to have that kind of understudied backup idea.
And if you're going to put a hell of a amount of trust on people, having... like references, so like say when you interview me about the radio drama, being able to like maybe go to one of my friends and say, hey, is this guy reliable, is he actually going to show up on time? Because you can't tell until the first day of rehearsal. My biggest
thing about this whole thing was trying not to choose friends as well. I wanted amateur actors. I didn't want professional actors. Did not want that at all.
Got amateur here.
But I did not want to choose my friends because that's not who I am. If one of my friends I think is capable for this role, I choose them. And I'm quite strict because these characters, like I said, I've had them since 2011. They are part of me, literally. And whoever I choose to be these characters, I need to have full kind of like faith in them that they're going to portray them in the best way possible. I mean, another girl I used to speak to about these characters, her name was Alexis. She's from America, but she still follows me on social media, and she saw a post about Simple Minds, and I put up a link to listen to it. She messaged me, and we hadn't talked in like 5 years or something, and she messaged me, and she's just like, your radio drama just gave me so many amazing, lovely flashbacks. And I'm so sorry we haven't spoken in ages.
It brought you back together.
It really did, and I feel like that's the most important part of it. I mean, I didn't know she was even going to listen to it, and it was a very horrible time, and I understood why she didn't want to talk to me anymore because it was obviously too painful. But then creating something creative and fun and loving to listen to, and like something you can just sit back and relax to in honour of someone else and in honour of everything we did as a friendship group and everything. And for her then to message me about 4 years down the line just to say, that was amazing, meant the world to me. And I didn't expect it at all. And it was quite overwhelming. I did get quite upset. I was like, oh no, here come the waterworks. Yeah. But it was really lovely, and it just made me think, this is why I do this. This is why I have these characters. This is why I make radio dramas, because it's that lasting effect. Yeah,
well, it lasted with her, and it's come back round to you in the end.
Yeah, so exactly.
You've created these characters off of yourself.
Yeah.
And she could probably feel every part of each character,
because obviously she remembers when I used to make them. She was there when I created them and when I first came up with the ideas for them and everything, and I guess for her it was also quite emotional as well when she listened to it to think, oh my god, how much have they grown, because I've grown and these characters have grown. Like, these characters are always evolving, always changing every single year because I become a new person. Everything I learned goes to the characters.
So how do you feel it's going to be maybe looking back in a couple of years at this version of Simple Minds then, when you've evolved more and the characters have evolved more?
I think in the next few years, I don't think I'm going to change them as much as I have now, because I feel like I've gotten to that point in my life now where I feel like, not that I've learnt everything obviously, but I feel like I've become very educated in the last few years of like how culture has changed in society, and like what's good, what's right, what's wrong, and everything. And I feel like once I get into an industry standard job for media, wherever that may be, I can get even more advice about what I can do with these characters to make them more appealing to the public. Because who knows, like I said, I've evolved these stories that I've made for these characters so much. Like, it started off just being like a slice of life teen drama, like in a school, that then evolved into like a fantasy thing, and then after that murder mystery, and then after that, like it's always ever changing, and that's something I want to hopefully soon keep touching on. And I feel like you got to do something fun at the end of the day, and it's got to be interesting. So,
yeah, well, you're channeling those characters into a very creative outlet. What's the plan with then the radio drama as you see it now? So that was a pilot.
Yes.
Are you planning to do series, like make it longer?
I'm now in third year, lol. And as you know, I was saying I have my radio show now, and I obviously want to continue with radio drama. I want to do something involving my dissertation with radio drama, because I want to do my dissertation based around teen drama and how that's basically become one of the biggest industries in the world. I mean, every country has their own radio drama they're like obsessed with, like, or not radio drama, teen drama, sorry, that like is obsessed over. And I want to evolve that into radio. So I haven't quite decided yet. I would love to continue it. This year I would love to do a second episode. I feel like that would be really fun, and if I could get like the gang back together, if you will, get everyone involved, that would be amazing. But it's just a case of obviously finding time and everything. But I hope one day when I do go into the industry, and I'm not saying if, because it's gonna happen.
That's the way to be about it.
Exactly.
That's kind of how I am about radio as well. It's good.
It's gonna happen, but like when it does happen, I think then I will do something. I will pour my heart and put my whole like mind and soul into this project, and I'm gonna make it a proper series one day. Just for now, while I'm at university, it's really not something to do for fun, but like it's just, I think, to do for my portfolio, for that experience, and I think that's the most important part, really.
Yeah, because you're doing radio in your course, and you're doing it on the side as well, which shows how much you love it.
I do. Yeah,
I'm in the same boat with film. Like I do radio on the side, film on the main course. So
I can't do film. Never again.
Well, then that's an interesting question to bring. What is it about radio? What is it about film that you don't like and radio that you do?
So when I came to this uni and I chose this course, I'd visited so many universities where it was mainly just either film studies or film and TV. There was nothing that offered radio, and I never really was that interested in radio. I mean, obviously I listened to radio. I wasn't really like, I always said to myself, well, maybe I could be a presenter one day, but like, I'm not going to fuss around it. But like, everyone wants to do film. Everybody wants to go into film, because that's why there's a whole new course for film production at this uni now, because of the oversubscription FRTV had for the film specialists. It's a very big course, and it's very competitive as well. Not to saying that radio isn't, but it's very pretentious in my opinion, the film side of things.
Me.
Yeah, you're very pretentious.
Oh yes.
But you know what I mean, like if you don't know one little thing about how a camera works, you can be kind of embarrassed about that. And I feel like with film as well, as much as I'm a writer, I think you can relate to that, 'cause you're a bit of a writer as well.
I'm a writer, yeah.
I'm a writer. I don't do well on set. I could be a director, I could be a producer, I could do that role, but I wouldn't choose to do that role. No. It would just be a case if I have to for the grade, or if no one else is going to step up. I'm one of those people like, oh, I'll do it because no one else is going to do it. We did a film exercise in first year. It was the most stressful week of my life. No, 2 weeks of my life, because I got the actors in, I wrote the script, I was a producer but then had to step up as a director. I almost broke a light. It was the most, I just couldn't do it.
They're the best. Yeah, they're all the stories that happen when you're making films.
It's great. It's great fun, but not for me at that moment in time. And like I love being stressed, but not like that. I just did not enjoy it. And obviously where we were in public as well, and we had like school kids coming over trying to touch our camera. I was literally not like, I was not living for it.
Well, there's certain stresses that that are worth the process. So for you, film didn't, but like in radio, like here we are now.
Yeah.
This podcast for me goes out every Thursday.
Yeah.
For you, your show every Monday. That's in of a stress of itself, because you've got to keep putting out content.
No,
but
100%.
It's worth it for both of us, because
I don't know what it is though. When I came to this uni, obviously I was more appealed to film, but then obviously I had that experience with the film, and I was like, if this is going to be what it's like for the next 2 years or 3 years of my life, no. And also I looked at the logistics of things. Obviously I know when you've got your heart set on something, you can achieve anything. 100% do get that. However, comparing jobs in TV, jobs in radio, film is a lot more competitive.
Yeah. And
I've made the odd students short films in my times and everything, but not that I didn't feel good enough. I felt like somebody else wants this more. But then with radio, I'm the person who wants it more.
Yeah,
and
I feel you.
With TV, I just didn't fit with TV, if I'm honest. I mean, I fit as a presenter. I'm fine with that. I'm okay with some of the behind-the-scenes things. I like the full-on, and I like things that are live, and I like that.
Yeah.
But once again, it was a situation of I'm not that passionate about this really.
Radio's giving you the happy medium of the two, isn't it? It's live.
I mean, with radio, it is stressful. Not saying it's any less or any more stressful than the other two. They're all just as stressful as each other. I mean, you get the odd like film students saying, "Oh my God, you do radio like you just doss off every lesson." No, hun. Do you want to work with a soundboard? Come down. I can teach you myriad. You know, like. Yeah. But with radio, there are so many jobs you can do in radio, and it's not as competitive as the other two, if I'm honest. And I've looked into the industry, and it's actually they're always hiring for new and interesting new positions, like tech managers, assistant directors. Like there's so many. I know it's similar for film, but with radio, and also it's not that it's more chill necessarily. It's not. It's still full on, but like it's really enjoyable.
No, I have the same.
And you got to think of it also as like radio. It's one of our longest going communicating form of media, other than obviously newspapers and like print media. When it comes to broadcast media, it's the oldest, and it's so well respected, and it's evolving. People think it's a dying media form, but it's not.
Definitely not.
It's growing and growing and growing. Because of podcasts like this, it's keeping it alive, and I want to be one of those people that helps that, because at the end of the day, like I said, I want to try and create more content that's going to be more appealing to people, such as teen drama. Put TV into radio, kind of thing. That's what I want to do.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, that's where the whole podcast scene kicks off with series and things, and like there are apps now. Like, have you used Pocket Cast?
I have used it. Yeah, I've got it on my phone. I haven't listened to a lot on it recently, I'll be honest. But I do know the app. Yeah.
Yeah, and like, I mean, I work in live radio, and every single day at work is. I know what you say about it. It's not chill, but it's still busy because you get pockets of relaxing as well.
Yeah.
Like, it's not so full on all the time, but when timings come, you've got to be dead on.
I also feel like with radio, it's more personal.
Yeah.
Rather than TV and film, because the thing is with TV and film, you have to work in a team. You can't really do a lot on your own. I mean, you can, but it's a lot more difficult. Yeah. With radio, you can be on your own, and you can do it on your own. And I'm very much a person where sometimes I can work in a team. I love working with other people, but then there are other days where I just had enough. I want to be on my own in my recording booth. No one talk to me. Literally, I actually messaged the CSR group chat basically to say, can I make Studio Blue a bit more homely? Because I just don't leave. Yeah. But it's a lot more personal radio. You can play what music you want to play as long as it's not offensive or anything. But you can play what you want to play. You can talk about what you want to talk about. You can pretty much do anything as long as you don't do anything offensive or hurt anyone's feelings or rude. Knock yourself out. And I feel like there's a lot more independence with radio than there is with the other two, and I like that.
Well, it's because the teams are so small. It's I know, like, if I work in like teams of 3 or 4, if one person's gone, it makes a big difference. But you are given so much responsibility. Like, you've got an entire show that you produce, present. Yeah. You've got to find your own guests. You've got to do your own marketing. It gives you strings to your bow. And
you know what? It's amazing because that experience is what's going to get you in those job interviews. And that's the stuff you're going to put on your CV. And like, fair enough, okay, I was a runner for Take Me Out, for example, or something, because I know that's a big thing with UCA. Like, I was a runner, Maidstone Studios for Take Me Out. Amazing. That's good. Great. Amazing job. Or, however, you have a radio student that turns around and goes, I can work a sound desk. I can work Myriad. I can work in this team. I'm also a producer. I do marketing. I do media management. Like, there's so much multi-rolling with radio, and you learn so many important skills through that. Yeah. And I think that's something I really stress a lot with radio, and there needs to be more courses out there for radio, if I'm honest. I looked the other day actually, because I was looking for master's degrees, things to do with broadcast and radio or digital marketing and stuff like that. There's literally nothing. There's only, I think, 4 or 5 courses in the entirety of the UK, and if you still want to do something more full on for radio, you have to go to another country.
Yeah, so I guess it's that going straight into industry is kind of the next step, but there's no presenters that just present anymore. They all do something else too. They're always at least a marketer or a producer, or if like in terms of news radio, they are news journalists as well.
There's so many different jobs in there with the radio. Like I said, you can read stories, you can be an actor for radio, you can read poetry, you can read the news, you can do journalism, you can do interviews. I mean, for my particular radio shows, Tea with Mimi, I just have guests on and I do a different theme each week, a different topic, and I talk to them about it. Kind of similar how you do with My Generation. Yeah. And it's my responsibility at the end of the day. And if anything up, it's my fault. Sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to swear or not.
I'll bleep it, and then, and then people will wonder what you said.
But no, it is one of those things where it's like, if it goes wrong, that's on me. But if it goes wrong at the end of the day, I'll be learning.
Yeah, and with radio, I feel like you can. There's a playfulness to it, because if you get something wrong, the listener's there with you, and like they've been with your show, your core audience, mine have too. You can make little mistakes, moments, and you just turn them into something fun.
And what can you learn from that experience? And I feel like that's always like really important to go by.
Yeah, and because with like the nature of it being live as well, it's so fast.
Yeah.
You have to be so on it all the time.
Yeah.
You have to be really talented to be so keyed into every moment, knowing how something's going to sound in 20 or 30 minutes. Is your show live?
Yes.
Do you ever get like call-ins as well? or texts in?
So so basically how my show went. Oh, now we're going on to my show. I do apologize. We'll go back to Simple Minds in a bit of a tangent. So how Tea with Mimi works is basically, so I do something on my Instagram. I don't know if you've seen it. I do something called Survey Sundays.
Yeah, you post loads of Instagram story questions.
Yes, I do. And those questions link to my topic/theme that I'm going to be doing on Tea with Mimi. I'll soon be moving that onto the Tea with Mimi Instagram. It's just while it's building up and I'm building up an audience and everything, I'm doing it on my personal one because, Gal's got followers.
I do that with Facebook. I share on the My Generation page, but I also share everything else on my personal page. Yes,
exactly, because it's networking as well as who you know and everything and what you know. But I do this thing called Survey Sunday. So basically, I have a think about in the week what theme, what topic I want to do. And then I go onto my Survey Sundays, I ask questions, and I get content from people who send me in their answers to my questions, basically. And then I find guests in the week that I feel would be best suited to talk about that topic. And then Monday comes along, do the show. And that's basically the gist of how I do it. So, for example, this last Monday just gone, and also this Monday coming, are Freshers involved shows. So, Freshers Week, love it. I'm going to be having the president of sports and the president of societies, Becky and Chloe. Don't know if you know them, but
I know. Yeah,
you know them. Okay, yeah. They're going to be on my show this Monday to talk about freshers and stuff. And I've been having presidents, captains, vice presidents of different societies and sports teams getting involved as well, sharing the page and being on Tea with Mimi.
Is there any way you can find episodes that have gone out?
I will be sorting that out soon. I do have a YouTube, and it will be all posted on there. Just my issue is getting around to doing it.
Because the thing is, because these shows are pre-recorded so far in advance that like we're sitting here in September, the weather's good. This is not going to come out when the weather's good. This is out in November.
Okay, that's
and
fine.
So people, we'll try and post links in the description. So if the YouTube is up and running,
it should be. No, literally, I'm going to make sure it's up before October.
Well, now you've got a deadline because it's middle of November. This comes out.
It has to be out. Okay, I'll do it. Don't worry. There will be a link somewhere in this description to listen to previous shows. At this moment in time, bearing in mind it is still September to check then. So far the shows I've done, and obviously I'll be doing more from them, but I've done a nerd show talking about like Marvel and talking about Comic-Con and everything. We've done guilty pleasures, things we hate, fun facts, and it's all been stuff like that. It's all been quite wholesome stuff, and so that will be going up on YouTube eventually. Soon. And if it's not up by November, well, I'm gonna have an angry text from Max.
Because people will be going straight to the description of this episode looking for that content. And will they be able to also find Simple Minds?
Simple Minds has not been released on YouTube yet, but it's on Soundcloud. Cool. And it's on my personal Soundcloud.
That Soundcloud link will be there.
I'll give you a link at some point. I don't actually know what the link is. I'll grab a link. But it's on Soundcloud, but it will be on YouTube soon. It's going to be on the same YouTube channel as Tea with Mimi once I get it all sorted. It's just a case of really me getting round and getting my sugar and honey iced tea together.
And we don't need to bleep that out.
No, we don't.
So going back to Simple Minds, let's bring it all back around there in the end.
Bring it up.
Yeah. So we've talked about the creation process really now. What was the distribution marketing process like for it?
So, Tea with Me... Oh, not Tea with Mimi. Sorry. Simple Minds. Woohoo. Okay, so Simple Minds, obviously, because it was for my course, it didn't have a lot of social media marketing for it, if I'm honest. I did create an Instagram page for it for my course, but I don't think it's up at the moment, because I think I've used that now for Tea with Mimi, unfortunately. So there isn't anything up there anymore in regards to social media. However, I did, in regards to marketing, because it was obviously for my course and I had to leave it quite personal for a while, it was mainly a case of me sharing it on Facebook and sending it to my friends who wanted to listen to it and stuff like that, which is obviously how Alexis found it and everything.
Yeah.
It hasn't been released to the public properly yet. I mean, it's on Soundcloud, but that's really, you have to follow me to see it kind of thing.
Yeah.
It is private at the moment. Although by this date, when this comes out, maybe it'll be public. Hopefully, fingers crossed it will be. It's going to be on my YouTube eventually.
Yeah.
But it will be. And it was not, I didn't really, obviously I put like posts on Facebook in regards to obviously voice actors and stuff like that. And like, I sent it to people to use it as part of their portfolios. Like I think Connor's used it for his, and like it was just mainly a thing I did for my course. It wasn't really, I didn't really think too deeply into it to make it into like a marketing, listen to this kind of thing, because also at the same time I didn't know where it was going to go.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what grade I was going to get. I didn't know whether it was going to be well received by my lecturers or not, or anything like that. Obviously, I found out I got a first, which is amazing. Super proud of myself.
That is pretty good.
Big up Mags, what a woman. But no, I just didn't really think too deeply into that part of it. It was mainly, the only really things I stressed about when it came to making Simple Minds was obviously the scripting,
Yes.
casting, recording, editing, and obviously directing. The fun thing about radio dramas, and this is really goes along with any radio thing you do, or acting to be fair, you have to overpronounce yourself in everything you say and make sure it makes sense and it's clear. And I had to do quite a few vocal warm-ups with quite a few people, but you know what, it's fine because it's all part of the fun and games at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I still really enjoyed it. I spent probably every day in the recording studios, editing.
You were in that basement editing that for so long.
So long. Well, I mean, it was 20 minutes. It was 20 minutes worth of content. And it was quite funny because originally I was told it had to be 30 minutes. And then I had 15 minutes. And then Mag's turning around to me last minute and going, oh, no, you can do it for 20 minutes.
Yeah, because you've been sort of cutting it down and now you can...
It was awful. But no, I will... It was mainly just a case of getting it done for my course. But now that obviously it was very well received, a lot of people liked it, a lot of people enjoyed it, found it fun, and obviously a lot of people were like, what happens next? Hopefully, fingers crossed, episode 2 will be done or being in the process by December, January. I'm probably going to start writing for that because it's going to be part of my dissertation. I've already decided that. I'm going to do something that involves Simple Minds and involves teen dramas and everything in my dissertation. And obviously that's June, May. So I'm probably going to start planning and scripting and stuff by November, December time. So hopefully when this is out, maybe I would be advertising for that and getting that all up on social media and everything.
And we can get Mimi back on the podcast in the new year when maybe something new is out.
And I can talk about that.
Yeah, but that's, in the future.
In the future. Oh, that's scary.
Yeah, that's... and your dissertation's coming up and everything, because it's, third year.
Don't remind me.
Yeah, we won't talk about the...
I feel like this year I will be a little bit more full on with everything I do in regards to Simple Minds, and if I do incorporate it into my dissertation, it will be a lot more advertised, it will be a lot more open to everyone to listen to. It's going to be more out there, whereas this time around, the second year, it wasn't as much, and I feel like it should have been, but it was my first stab at doing it, so I just kind of wanted to make sure I did it right before, advertising it. Stuff.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
And obviously, like I said, it was a pilot episode. It wasn't like...
It was a pilot for a uni radio drama, so there's still a lot of scope for this stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Because radio's a little bit more low risk as well, because budgets are smaller.
Yeah.
The actors, you can just put them in a room for a day, record it, done.
And
gone.
obviously, where all my actors are volunteering anyway, none of them were paid. I mean, I did promise Spoon's visit, but I just didn't get around to it.
That didn't happen, did it?
I'm really sorry.
Oh my god, I didn't even remember that.
Yeah, I did promise once it would get submitted, I was going to do a Spoon's thing, but I couldn't do it because I was very ill. It was a great time. I was fine. I'm fine. I'm alive.
She's fine now.
Well, no, I'm not. But no, but like, it will be a lot better this year if I do it, because I've learned from my mistakes. I've learned how to do things better. I've taken my feedback and I'm going to improve it, but at the same time still give it that Mimi flair that Mags obviously loved, and that's at the end of the day the most important thing to do.
Yeah, because you've put so much of yourself into this story.
I really did.
And, it's clearly working. Well, do you know, we're going to go back to the story in a minute, but that's what Mimi and I have had to say so far about creating a radio drama and a radio show, live radio.
Hello.
But do you have a story to tell about the subject? If so, feel free to leave a comment here on YouTube, or you can contact the Facebook page at the My Generation Podcast. We'll feature your comments. We might even try and get some of them back to Mimi for next time she's on the podcast to talk about the progression. Next, I wanted to talk about local impact. So we're a very Kent-based show. What would you recommend to someone who wants to get into radio that's living in Kent?
Radio in general?
Yes.
Well, obviously CSR is an amazing stepping stone. It's an amazing way to get your foot in the door and get that experience. I mean, you're trained on industry standard. It's very much based around you as a person and your timetable. And I mean, I know I'm on CSR, so I'm advocating it quite a lot. But like, the good thing about radio is it's very much, if you've got a story to tell, it's the best way to get it out there, really. Yeah. And like I said, in regards to getting involved, Kent's very good. What else? Yes, for CSR, if you're based in Canterbury, obviously, like we were saying about BBC New Voices and everything. Like there are so many things. It's just really getting them contacts, them networking, and looking on social media. Twitter, I find, is the best page to find these kind of like opportunities.
Yeah. Because
there's so many pages out there, and obviously Virgin Radio in the UK is quite a new and big thing. There are so many different ways you can go about it and look, and that's why I love radio, because it's a lot easier to find these kind of things. Whereas with film, I feel, right, there's a runner job.
Yeah.
That's it, really.
That's sort of your way in.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas there's a lot more heavier, high-end responsibility quicker in radio.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And obviously, to be fair, and if you aren't still 100% sure, but you don't know if you want to do this for a job, volunteering.
Yeah.
That's a really good way to get in as well, because you won't get paid for it, unfortunately, but it's a really good way to get experience and get in there, and obviously work experience and everything like that. So always look and see if your local radio stations have those. Oh, and finally another one, hospital radios.
Yes.
They're very, very on demand.
Yeah.
I did a couple for William Harvey last year, my hospital. They're always in demand for people to go on there and just basically cheer people up.
Yeah.
And they're played all throughout the wards, and you get to play some tunes, and to be fair, you have no idea how much that brightens people's days.
Yeah, and so radio is definitely not a dying medium by any stretch of the imagination, is it? So we've touched on all of those. There's so much options in just the county of Kent, and if you're listening from further afield, there will be pretty much the equivalent, but for you.
I don't know if anyone's listening in Bournemouth, but one of my friends, Clara, she has a station there for her. She started it up with her course mates called Nerve Radio, and they're always looking. It's basically like CSR. They're always looking for people as well. Or get in touch with her. But yeah, that's always something you can do as well. There's so many places you can go to and speak to and see if there's any availability. And also, some retailers have their own radio stations, such as Superdrug do, Dunelm. For fast food chains, it's kind of a funny one, because sometimes they use national radio stations like BBC or Capital and stuff like that. Other times, it is their own thing. It just depends what's in your branch, really.
Yeah, so that's a
supermarkets have their own ones usually as well.
Yeah,
it's just really a case of asking around and getting that experience.
Yeah, who'd have thought you could like go into a supermarket and come out being a radio presenter?
Yeah, I mean, Asda's radio station is banging. I don't know about you, but it's actually a banging station. I walked in there the other day and they were playing, I can't remember what it was. I think it was Shut Up and Dance or something, by Walk the Moon. I was lit getting my groceries. I was just like, get them apples!
So you were just staying in there listening to the music?
I really did.
Oh, nice. Well, you know, we'll go back to Mimi in just a moment to wrap up the podcast, but I want to tease some more topics we've got coming up on the show. So this is going up in November. Next week, I think in the coming weeks, we're going to be talking to Dan Inwood again. He's the returning podcast guest from the first episode of the show. We're going all the way back to the beginning. He's coming on to talk about top 10 lists and hobbies, which may not sound like they go together, but that episode's going to be a little bit crazy. I'm doing a personal episode about my photography, and Joel is coming on the podcast finally to talk about his blacksmithing. I alluded to it before, but that episode is recorded, and I can't wait to bring it to you. That one's coming out in and around the beginning of December, so definitely stay tuned. It feels weird to be talking about December already, considering...
Oh no, stop at work in retail.
And you're going to have Christmas songs on soon.
Actually, I don't mind Christmas songs. I just don't like Christmas at retail. That'll be a whole nother show. Just like the hate of retail at Christmas.
Yeah. Well, when we get you back on, we'll talk about what Christmas was like in retail for you. And also, you're hearing this in November, middle of November. Start your Christmas shopping now.
Oh, I start my Christmas shopping in November.
Same. It's like, you get it out of the way, then you don't have to worry. So do you know what? This is a complete tangent, but start shopping now.
I mean, I don't get my student loan until October, and I'm using it all on Christmas shopping.
Exactly. It's the smart thing to do. So when December rolls around and everyone's panicking, you're like, mine already done.
You never know, I might release a Christmas episode of Simple Minds.
Well, there's going to be a Christmas episode of the podcast. And,
cute.
So that will be coming out on Christmas Day, because usually these are every Thursday at 6 o'clock, but that one will be on a Wednesday because Christmas falls on Wednesday this year. I know my calendars. So
Wow.
Wednesday the 25th of December at 6, we will have a Christmas episode. So if you would like to listen along with us on Christmas Day, there will be a guest on there, and it is a familiar voice. But on Joel's episode, which is already recorded, we will be. We're going to get a copyright strike for that. You know that.
Are we?
No, we won't.
Oh, okay.
That's how
Christmas songs should not get copyright strikes. Everyone sings them.
Yeah. So in Joel's episode, we'll reveal who the guest is. But yeah,
is it Santa Claus?
It is. It is. We're going to dress up in Santa costumes, and you just won't be able to see it through radio.
Why are you dressing up as Santa if Santa's going to be there?
Exactly. Yeah. We'll be the elves.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Full-time elf.
I mean, you're too tall, but...
I'm a little bit... But the people listening to this don't know how tall I am.
He's really tall.
I'm only 6'1". That's not too tall.
I'm only 5'1", on that note.
And on that note, time to... No, but we're going to be doing a Christmas episode. We might film it. You know, we haven't actually filmed a single episode of the podcast yet.
To be fair, that might be quite fun.
Yeah. So if you...
They could see...
This face.
Oh, God, that might... No,
yeah, okay,
don't
maybe
do
not.
Wear a Christmas mask. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, wear a Christmas
I'm
mask.
joking.
I'm just now getting roasted on my own show, but that's fine.
I
So
mean,
if you wanna see a Christmas episode, I'll have to talk to the person we're having on whether they'd be happy with that. But put a comment. I know it's November, but you're probably getting ready to start with your Advent calendar. We've just spent 10 minutes talking about Christmas in September, but that is what it is.
We like Christmas.
So we'll be going back to Mimi in just a moment to wrap up this week's episode of the My Generation podcast, but there are still topics that we're looking for people to talk about. Now, I want to revisit collecting. So if you've got any interesting or unique collections and you live in Kent and you're between the ages of 18 and 30, we'd love for you to come on the show. You can also contribute on the Facebook page where I'll be posting questions and featuring your answers in future episodes of the podcast. All links are in the YouTube description. So, Mimi, my final question.
Hello.
I always ask everyone this at the end of every episode.
Right.
What do you think you've learned about talking about this process again? What do you think you'll take away from this podcast?
I just like to chat a lot. No, like, it's nice knowing that people still have an interest in things I do. No, I don't know, really. I don't know what I've learned necessarily. I just know that if you are passionate about something and you feel like no one's really listening to you, someone is, and someone thinks you're doing an amazing job, someone out there thinks your passion is worth shining and bringing light to and talking about. Obviously, that's what you do on the show anyway. You bring different passions on people with different passions and talk about them and everything.
Oh, of course.
And we love that. But the thing is, though, if you are sitting here feeling like you've got this idea in your brain but you just don't know what to do, write it down and, like, ask for advice. Talk to your friends. Just get as many people involved as possible, because at the end of the day, if I'm honest, your idea is probably way more interesting than Simple Minds, and if I'm honest, you're probably going to be creating better content than me. No. But at the same time, don't steal my ideas. Thank you.
Don't steal your ideas, but like, people will be creating their own things, and you don't even need a fancy mic.
You don't.
I mean, I'm not going to tell you which ones, but some of these podcasts have been recorded on iPhones.
Oh, I love that.
We always back up.
I just noticed that.
I mean, no, every episode's always backed up onto an iPhone, so if I lose the files. But yeah, so there is an iPhone in the room at all times. But there are a couple of the episodes of the podcast at the start.
You should do an ASMR podcast for My Generation.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of every episode because of my voice. No, it's not. That would be a very interesting episode. Oh, we kind of had that with Dan on the first episode where he kept like fiddling with fidgeting, and so like all the sound effects are in there. So
sorry,
that's not going to sound like an earthquake. At least we're on a wooden table, which is about the worst possible kind of table you could have for podcasts. But we're really painting a picture of the room we're in right now within Canterbury Christ Church.
It's not a dark room. I thought it was going to be a dark room, but it's not.
It's bright. It's
quite
windows.
light. It's quite lit.
Although when you're hearing this in November, it's definitely going to be dark because
it won't be night this time.
It's like 1 in the afternoon. It'll be dark, surely. In November.
It would be if
it's dark by 3 usually.
Yeah, it's dark by 3. Yeah, it's true.
By 3.
It's only 1 o'clock.
Well, when we're recording this, it's 1 o'clock. But when you're listening to this, it's the middle of November at 6 o'clock.
Well, I know that, but like at the time right now, does that mean I can go home and have a nap?
I mean, yeah. Well, I'm. That's post-podcast naps.
Oh,
Yeah.
Love that for me.
Well,
Excited.
You see, I'm on the podcast train at the minute because like we've got that episode that's just gone out last week. Recording with Dan Inwood again tonight for the Hobbies and Top 10s episode. In fact, Mimi, give me one top 10 of anything you want me to discuss with Dan.
Anything?
Yeah, anything.
Top 10 radio dramas. No, I'm joking. Top 10.
It can be as silly as you like, and we'll try and put it to him.
Top 10 snacks.
Top 10 snacks.
Right. I know I'm number 1, but...
So we're putting that to Dan tonight. I'll add that to the list.
Top 10 snacks.
Top 10 snacks.
Yeah.
That will be coming to him.
We love a snack.
So when you hear that episode, that will include Mimi's suggestion.
Top 10 snacks.
But thank you very much for coming on the show, Mimi.
No problem. Happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me. And
No
hopefully I'll
problem.
come back sometime and chat some more sugar honey iced tea with you.
Oh, yes. And that'll be once maybe new Simple Minds. And they said New Minds.
Well,
Simple Minds.
New Minds.
I'm pretty sure that is a thing for something.
There is a thing for Simple Minds, apparently.
And that's your thing. But that was a band. You said it was a band too. So
Apparently. I mean...
You stole an idea.
I did not. I didn't know they were a band.
Theft.
They're from like the 70s. I don't know the 70s. I wasn't born. I don't even know the early 2000s.
So me and Mimi are going to do another podcast episode about the 70s and all the...
Oh my god, imagine. I'd actually cause controversy, not going to lie. I will actually drag every single person from the 70s, because can we just say for 1 second before we finish this, what was the point of their haircuts?
Oh, okay. We're going there.
There's the tea.
Wow.
That's the tea with Mimi. Mondays, 6 to 8, CSR FM.
So if that's not a good ident for your show, I don't know what is. So we've talked about on this podcast radio dramas, we've talked about Christmas and 70s haircuts.
Yeah.
Yeah. All the things you need to know.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you very much for listening. We'll be back next week with even more stuff like this. Maybe more formal, maybe not.
Okay.
What is next week's episode?
What is next week's episode,
Next
Max?
week's direct episode after this is one I'm doing about my photography.
Ooh.
And then straight after that, we're back with Dan Inwood. And then obviously Joel as well to follow. Loads of episodes planned. Mimi's back on the podcast soon. Thank you very much for
Bye.
listening. And we'll see you next week on the next episode of the My Generation
You
podcast.
won't see me, but you'll see Max.
And you won't even see me, you'll hear me.
Oh my god, that's true.
Got you.
Oh, Inception. Radioception.
But then you might see me at Christmas.
Oh my god, this is just a teaser, innit?
Yeah. So much to... Now you have to subscribe and turn on post notifications.
You have to.
That's just the rule.
like I'm not being funny, but like you have to.
And then you have to do that with Mimi's after you've done that here.
Exactly, you have to. It's just a thing of life, innit?
Yeah. And on that note, we'll tune in with you next week on the My Generation podcast. Thank you very much for listening.
Bye.